Hello YouTube, Matt Craig here from Junkhouse Entertainment, and this is a Micro Armor game. I have not been able to bring you one of these in a really long time, but it is one of the more popular videos that's on our page from a really long time ago. So, finally, right, here we are. Russian Front, 1942, early 42 before the Operation Blue Offensive down towards Stalingrad. So this is sort of a fictional what-if, semi-dependent on the Kharkov scenario for all you Super World War II nerds out there. Kharkov 1. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's okay. It's World War II. You'll enjoy it. So, I had two opponents, and they were playing a Russian infantry division of 3 regiments. In the back is their divisional artillery support. And here's the overall map. They have a regiment forward. They have a regiment on the flank. My right, their left. And then they have a regiment that is in march column approaching. And you're going to hear race cars and stuff. I live on a pretty busy boulevard nowadays. I don't know if you've seen an update, but we did have to move. And it's a nice day outside, so people are kind of like busy. Anyway, Russian Rifle Regiment here in march column, my left, their right flank. There's a whole story behind this I won't get into that I gave the 2 players to work with. What's important for our purposes is that it is a whole division. It's a whole division of 3 regiments with regimental assets up here in this tree line. So that's 4 formations, big chunky Russian formation. I got some numbers here. Let me see if I can get my papers. Found my papers. Of course, I don't have like the one paper I need when I need it. Oh, here we go. 84 pieces. Excuse me. 84 pieces in this division. And down here, this is a set of defensive positions that were held by Axis troops, security troops, broken up Hungarian troops. They were supposed to be holding this position when I arrived. I was going to take over this position for them. That's part of the story. But when we arrive, they're not there. And we run into these guys. So, what you see here are foxholes, intermittent foxhole positions, dug-in positions, unoccupied, all the length of the table, anchored by a town and a bridge over this gully, ravine, if you will. Other pieces of terrain to note, there's a huge chunk of woods right here. There's a town that sort of anchors off it if you follow the mouse. A string of woods towards the back here, which kind of impedes line of sight. And, of course, a death bowl. And if you're not familiar with what a death bowl is, it's basically a giant open piece of terrain bordered by wonderful defensive positions. So when you drive in it, you're in the bowl of death. So even though you see nothing here, keep in mind, it's a death bowl. Okay. Here's a close-up of the lead Russian Rifle Regiment. A couple of 45s in there. 76 IG. Well, that's what the Germans would call it. Light mortars, machine guns, infantry, you name it. Truck park. Here's the march column. These trucks are occupied by their guns in the regiment, so there's probably 3 45s and a 76. Up here you can see the divisional artillery. And here's their extreme left as a truck goes by. Tan and largely a defensive posture out front, some anti-tank guns, artillery, headquarters, and a truck park. Alright, this terrible blurry photo is hard to look at, but I'll be real quick. Their intelligence, when they deployed, made them not aware of this Fusilier battalion. This is one of the battalions of Germans. We were already within a half mile when the game began. They just weren't allowed to know that. Let me flip real quick to this. This is a close-up. This is a close-up of the armored support. So we're talking about a German Fusilier battalion and 4 tanks, roughly an overstrength company. Each unit is a platoon in this game, by the way. So this is Battle Group Weiss, Battle Group White, 15 pieces. The Russians were not aware of them during the night because the battle group kept the tanks just beyond the trees, just beyond the ravine, and never got within a half mile. So as the Russians were making their plans, they were unaware. These guys already holding my right flank, but at 15 pieces to their 84, Battle Group White's not super inspired to advance alone. You can see in this shot, you got a Mark II, a Mark IV, and then a couple of 38T Checo tanks. Alright, so here's a good shot. One of the first things that happens is a Fiesler Storch recon aircraft shows up because it's early 42. Luftwaffe is still in full effect. So as I'm preparing my formation, my infantry regiment, which I'll talk about in a second for the attack, alongside Battle Group White. This is a recon aircraft I flew in. Right now it's at medium altitude, so I cannot see any of this Russian infantry, small unit, small gun actions. I just want them to know this exists, and I want their artillery back here, which are large guns in the open until the engineers can dig them in. I want these large guns to know, hey, if you do something, we'll see you. You know, don't get frisky. This is also a good opportunity to squeeze in a note about these white dice you see right here. Not this one. You'll see these early on. These are engineering points. During the night, the Russians had the opportunity to build minor obstacles and things in case they didn't want to continue their advance. This guy was felling trees. There was one further off felling trees. And real quick, let me jump back to the main picture. Here. Okay, the side you see the guy standing on is north. Over here where Battle Group White will appear, and does appear, is south. And then the Germans are pushing, yeah, west-east. Excellent. Okay. Flipping through. Here's a close-up of the Fiesler. Now you can see the Russian positions. Again, it's just to let them know, hey. Oh, and also to try and bait out a little AA fire if they had any, but they did not, and they were unwilling to. All right, so turn one gets rolling, and it's a good time to talk about my attack force. My attack force is a German Infantry Regiment, probably somewhere around 15 to 30% under strength. This is something I chose to do. I like sort of testing those boundaries of using depleted formations. So I've got a regiment of 61 pieces, 3 battalions, 15, 12, 12, and the regiment is 6, if my math is right. We're supported by 4 Sturmgeschütze. Early mods with the short barrel. I got 3 supporting one battalion, 1 supporting another battalion. Went ahead and broke them up for the game purposes. So you got a company of Stugs and then a single platoon supporting the other one. So at 61 pieces plus another 15 for Battle Group White against the 84 of the Russians, we're looking at a ratio of 1 to 1.37. I am definitely outnumbered. I have quality, but if they choose to, they can dig in. It can be a real tough thing. Supporting me is not just the spotter plane, which will be directing Luftwaffe ground attacks, hopefully. Supporting me is also the Regimental 150 that comes with my guys, and 3 105s from Division Offboard. Here you can see 2 of the German battalions pushing in. This is 2nd and 1st and 2nd. Yeah, I had to check my numbers right there. This is 1st and 2nd Battalion pushing in. My first plan here, we got to occupy the length of these positions, and we got to tie in with Battle Group White. That way, from these positions, we can begin to put fire down on the Russian line and scout out some of their more difficult positions in the back near the Death Bowl. Here's another close-up of the Russians. All right, the Russian Rifle Regiment in black that decided to shake out a road column, okay? Here you see more white dye, by the way. There's digging going on back here. Engineers are trying to dig these guns in even while the battle is going to happen. So this regiment shakes out. It's a good choice by my opponent, seeing this spotter plane even at medium and knowing that we're going to beat him to the defensive positions. No reason to continue in march column beyond. Over here, Battle Group White pushes out some recon and some vehicles. Now, I should have been much more aggressive with my recon, but I was not winning initiative. That was a big problem this whole game. I really needed to be able to maneuver beyond my opponent. What he does here is very interesting. If you remember, there were units all out here in defensive posture. They actually all retired back into the defensive positions, further illustrating the Death Bowl. However, one man stayed behind. This is a recon element, or perhaps just infantry that I've discovered. But yeah, all in all, this Russian Rifle Regiment on his left, my right, has decided to defend the Death Bowl. And I'm not inspired at all to push a 15-piece battalion through that. I would have to assault this position first and then work my way around. And I'm just, it's not, yeah, you can see, like, come on. Here's a close-up of this. There's also a good opportunity to discuss the spotter plane's intentions. So I got trucks back here. I can see maybe next turn. And all these guys. Here's a tail end of Russian, the Middle Russian Rifle Regiment, because they stretched all the way out to here. Some machine guns and supporting elements. All right, here's a semi-blurry picture of Regimental Headquarters. No, wait a minute. Okay, no, this is 3rd Battalion. 12 pieces, one of the weakest. Their job's to get up in these heights. In the distance, you can see the Stugs. Here's a pull-out shot. Giggity. Sorry, had to steal that from what's-his-face. Anyway, yeah. Column's going to push into these trees. I'm hoping to beat the Russians there. If not, I got to fight for it, which is really lame. Again, I didn't win initiative, so I couldn't race in there and avoid shooting because these guys, like up in here, could move after me and just walk in and cause a firefight, and I'd be defenseless. So here we've got a flying column heading for these trees and various weapons and machine guns, including a heavy, moving up into these heights. Oh, I finally figured out, hey, you know what's great for this? Giant red arrows. So here you go. During their move, he actually pulled some guys back, which is real good. This is the headquarters for the Russian Rifle Regiment. It is on maneuver, and according to the rules and the way things are right now, the headquarters had to come out here and maneuver so that all these guys could try digging in and doing whatever they needed to do. Here's a terrible shot of that. Here's a better shot of that. Ah, yes, here's an air attack. So this will be top of 2, roughly. The spotter plane is in the distance. I actually flew over their defenses back towards their guns. Didn't draw any AA fire. Could have called the plane in on these trucks. Probably should have called the plane in on these trucks. But my concern was my left flank 12-piece battalion. And these Russians are still coming at me. And so what I figured was happening was a spoiling attack. And that means his attack is going to upset my attack and stall me out. it's actually kind of a standard Russian tactic when you've got a lot of men to throw into the meat grinder. And at this point, I realized instead of a game of board control, what I need to do is actually cripple 2 Russian rifle regiments. If he's going to spoiling attack one of them into me, I need to get my hands on another one. I need to crush 2 of the 4 units that make up the division, cause the division itself to break, and win board control that way. So, yeah, turn 2 basically dictated the rest of the game in terms of overall strategic planning. And this black regiment and the red regiment of Russians in the center became the 2 primary targets for my fighting for the day. And with that, might as well throw a BF 110 air attack in. This is my favorite Luftwaffe playing, because this is one of the first ones I ever saw when I was a kid. You know, a lot of people, you'll see the Stuka first. Everyone loves that dang thing. Or if they don't love it, they certainly seem to love it when they showcase German Air Force operations in history. But this lady, I don't know. It's just too cool. Fork tail, you know. Anyway, spotter plane calls it in. He spots the Russian rifle regiment. I'm hoping for a massacre here. These guys are moving slow. They will get cover. You know, they're not marching. But I'm hoping for a massacre. There it is. And lo and behold, 1 platoon gets waxed right at the road here. Just bombs, machine guns, massacred, just chunks of meat everywhere, and 1 platoon suppressed. And off he goes feeling victorious. A real Fritz Priller moment, and it didn't help me at all. It helped me, but it didn't help me. All right, movement 2, and it's starting to get wild. You can see smoke rounds are landing now for the Germans. I'm putting smoke down here, putting smoke down here. Smoke across this front so I can move into the positions. You can see all along the line, that's what we're beginning to do. The Stugs have thrown themselves forward in an aggressive posture to encourage the Russians not to come in until we're ready. They seem to think I was coming after them the first couple turns, which was nice. And I certainly did not want to discourage that. I wanted them to sit right where they were until I was ready to jump off. I mean, the truth is, this was our jump off position into the attack, and we don't even own it yet. Just beyond their hands, you can see that on my left, their right, that Black Russian Rifle Regiment is starting to shake out beyond the lake, beyond the crossroads, and really make an aggressive stance. Not good. I can tell, you know, this isn't good. Here's a close-up. I needed smoke down here so I could get into this position without drawing every single mortar and machine gun. This little motorcycle is the regimental recon guy. He's crazy. This is Russian artillery fire that had been bracketed on one of the Stugs that had been sitting at the crossroads. German infantry, very uninterested in staying near the Stugs because they're just drawing fire every minute. Artillery fire, mortar fire, you name it. Here's another close-up of my boys on the left getting ready to surmount the heights and go into those woods. And here's, you can see we managed to get into the chunk of those woods, up in here, onto those defensive positions, set up machine guns, threw a Stug forward to be even more, hey, don't come near me. Here's a better illustration of the Black Russian Rifle Regiment's aggressiveness. And again, we don't own this tree line yet. It's ridiculous. So now, I have to worry about next turn, brought to you by Yingling. I have to worry about next turn, and whether or not, as I move to the edge of this tree line, you know, this company of Germans is going to face, at minimum, perhaps, a couple of platoons of Russians. At least I've got a base of fire along here, and the Stug can maybe keep them honest. Down the line, Battle Group White still in a defensive posture, and this perhaps was the biggest tactical mistake of the day on my part. They should have been moving on turn 2. Not into the Death Bowl, but in the direction I wanted them to go, which I'll show you later. But yeah, this was probably the biggest tactical mistake I made of the game, and you'll see why. So I threw these tanks out here from Battle Group Ice. I can see a lot of these guys now. This is a recon element. This recon element pushes to the crossroads. You can see this Russian has either died or disappeared. Good on him. And I also threw out the other 2 panzers. But again, defensive posture, not great. Here's a close-up from my left, their right, looking down on the village, the woods. You can see the Stug short barrel at the crossroads, barking like a dog. Trying to keep these guys honest. Russian marker rounds for artillery coming in. Here's a close-up of their right, my left. Here's the dude who got hit by the 110 but lived. And in the background you can see my spotter playing. All right, so shooty, bang, bang, and we managed to whittle off a few units. I think there was a machine gun here. We managed to suppress some. You know, we're spotting units, and we're doling out the harshness, but we're not doing significant damage, and that's because we're not all up and firing yet. We're still occupying the jump-off. Excuse me. Over here, same deal. My lead elements of this platoon, of this company, the lead platoon starts drawing tremendous fire from mortars, machine guns, IG in the back here. I mean, Lord, you name it. And then back and forth. We got crossfire going back and forth from these heights down near the lake. This spoiling attack is now fully begun, and I'm convinced that even if he doesn't advance to the tree line, he can at minimum stay where he's at and die to the man. And I feel of 2 minds about that because 1, it slows down board control, but 2, I've kind of switched away from board control and switched towards I need to just crush these 2 regiments. And since he's going to sit here, it's kind of better than nothing. Here's a shot from the Russian side. You can see he's deployed all his guns from the Black Russian Rifle Regiment in the back here. I mean, look at this gun unit. This gun line. That's a gun line, boys. Here's a shot from their divisional area. You can see they got nice little tractors for their guns. They're digging away, trying to put pits around here, and you can see most of the divisional assets stretching out along this woods line, looking down towards Battle Group White. You'll see these buildings move, by the way. It's only because pieces, right? We got to put pieces where the town is, so yeah. Don't get confused when you see the buildings move. They are just representational in this game. You can't really occupy them. If you're where the town is, you're always in the town. And here's a shot of their left, my right, where the other regiment, Tan, has really decided to just sit it out. Sit it out may be not a nice term, who knows. But they are definitely occupying the Death Bowl, so they're sitting and they're out away from where I'm at. Here's another shot, kind of a, I don't know, kind of a side angle. I don't know. And really blurry, more shooty, bang, bang, and blurry. And here's an overall. So, this is where movement got nuts. His spoiling attack's going to start to push in. I'm going to start to push out. And all the armor I can concentrate on red's going to get concentrated, even though I just couldn't stretch Battle Group Vice further. I should have been on attack. Here's a close-up. I've got elements of 1st Battalion and Battle Group Vice making their assault on the triangular woods just to the east, just to the west of the town. Yep. And here's the Russian spoiling attack coming in. Unfortunately, this company of Germans up here, many of them moved up here, and even though we have views of fire down stationary, I needed to do this so that I could get this tree line. And you'll understand later, because if I didn't push a few units forward towards the lake, his spoiling attack would have hit this tree line, and it could have been a back and forth thing in here that would have never got resolved. So instead, it's in this open field where at least I can control it with a varying degree of fire. Here's a very blurry picture of it because it's Fast and Furious. Here's a picture of the triangular woods fight. So we carved out a good chunk of boys here, and we're hoping just to pick off some of these guns too. Clear out some of these guys. 1st Battalion going in. Fast and Furious, Battle Group Vice. Ugh, a terrible overhead shot. Is there a better one? Nope. Okay, so shooty, shooty, bang, bang, but it was real bad for the Russians. We'll get to that. Just look at the arrows. All right. Here's a close-up of what happens when Russian divisional artillery is on point and can catch a whole company plus of guys. All of Battle Group Vice's armor, by my understanding, was under this pattern, give or take, and they were all hit by 122 and 152 mixed, and they're all pinned. So, yeah. You can see in this semi-blurry shot, maybe 2 guys were lost, 2 platoons on the German side, but the Russians got carved up good. There's a big gaping hole here. Almost all the Russians from the regiment assault group are pinned. It is looking hot. In the background is my spotter plane and his gun line digging fast and furious. You'll see the green marker on the spotter plane because no Luftwaffe strike planes. Basically, the guy choked. And I can't get air support. All right. So now I need to push into these trees and murder more Russians. I need to push into this field and finish these Russians. And I need to feel out these Russians. But the goal has always been to crush red and black and get the division to fail. So, moving left to right. 2nd Battalion shifts its focus to the lake area and crosses the front of 3rd Battalion, who largely remains on the defensive, and lays fire into those Russians. So now this Russian rifle regiment is actually facing 2 battalions and a platoon of Stugs in an open field. Got a real twist on them. I just need to do enough damage. In the center, it's 1st Battalion all the way, every Stug they can muster, and I pulled off Battle Group Vice's armor because it was all suppressed. I mean, I was worried about this happening. I could hear the 2 of them talking because they're sitting right there, and they're talking about, we need to throw men out in that field to gain board control. And they're not wrong, you know? So my only option was to throw these guys out here and try to shoot these men up for board control while 1st Battalion Stugs go in. There was also a Russian counterattack in here that I missed describing that was largely pointless and caused casualties, but not a huge amount to red. But those losses inspire me even more to get in there and crush red right now. Crush them now. Crush the black regiment now. These 2 regiments will drag down the division, and I'll win because the entire division will fail, and then it won't matter about this attack board control. But as I told you earlier, I was late with Battle Group White getting active, and so unfortunately their infantry, which should be up here by now, contributing greatly to this assault, is lagging way behind. And the weapon systems have to fire into this field instead of firing along Red's axis. Here's a close-up of the push from their left to my right, and some Battle Group Vice machine guns getting ready to try and stop that madness. And here's a close-up of the grand assault. It wasn't great. I got a bunch of them. Like, I got a bunch. Trust me. But this guy right in here, submachine gun platoon, Order of Lenin, whatever, Suvorov, he went Rambo. And he just shot the hell out of the German infantry. The Stugs crushed him under. The Stugs crushed everyone under. But 1st Battalion, ouch. That 15 minutes of assault, not good. Over on Vice's front, everybody's moving so fast. Yeah. Here's an overall. And you can see there's almost nothing left of the Black Russian Rifle Regiment's assault force. It's just their guns and whatnot. And you can see they've largely been destroyed in these woods and only remain in this town, many of them suppressed. On my front, I counterattacked with a Stug and a machine gun platoon from 2nd Battalion to emphasize the butt kicking that needed to be put on these men. And I dropped Divisional 105 fire all over these guys. Oh, yes. Still couldn't get the Luftwaffe to respond. Over here in the crossfire of the Death Bowl, all that happened was a few Russian pieces got picked up and one was suppressed. So blurry, so deadly, so painful. Luftwaffe, 110 struck. Haven't seen him since. There's Battle Group Vice just trying to pin them down in the Death Bowl. At least they're in it with me now, right? I was up above it, now I'm down in it. And here's the heavy machine gun from Battle Group Vice firing down into the Death Bowl. And here's the end. At least it's not blurry, right, boys? So, what was the end game? Well, the end game was, unfortunately, the Russians win by just a hair of board control. I couldn't get the division to fail. Russian Rifle Regiment was pushed to 50% casualties. They actually went a little higher than that. The Black Russian Rifle Regiment was, I believe, 2 pieces away from 50%. Largely untouched over here to their left, my right, but that's fine. So unfortunately, I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't get the kills to break the division. And we both controlled one whole board, so it came down to an average distance across the middle board. And unfortunately, the town salient, the salient here, and then this shit, they're not dead. Unfortunately, Russians win by a hair. Overall, my casualties were roughly 20 to 25% across the board, but actually maybe a little lower because Vice's casualties were minimal, almost none. So, yeah. So this was Micro Armour. Another game of Micro Armour for our channel, just so you guys can see and enjoy it. It's World War II. This was the Russian front, 1942. Early, January, February, March. Maybe March. I'd have to dig out some of the history books. Figure out. But anyway, this has been Matt Craig for Junkhouse Entertainment. Check us out at www.junkhouseentertainment.com for comic books, games, books, whatever, if you want to publish something. Check out the other channels on our YouTube. Check out the other videos on our YouTube channel. And, hey, thanks for watching. And take care.